Janet, go your night to go to your night to eat the name to eat the name. Go to your night to go to your night to eat the name to the good one cứ đi.
Welcome to Lesson 21 of the Mountain Maidu language class. In this lesson, we'll continue inventing new words using genuine Maidu parts. Then we'll listen to another Maym Gallagher recording where she talks about her uncle. Let's start off with our modern Maidu, genuine Maidu parts. Last time we learned the infixes T, men, and boss. Rather, we reviewed them to continue making up some missing words. This time, we're going to review a few more infixes and make up more words. Let's start on page 39 in the Modern Maidu workbook. The infix lut adds the meaning very much, too much, extremely, or as we learned it, to the max. There's an actual Maidu word, luti, meaning real. Repeat the word for real. Luti. If you look at the list of words at the top of page 39, you see examples of words already in the dictionary, collected from native Maidu speakers. Now, as I say each one, I want you to repeat. Instead of saying repeat in English, let's say it in Maidu. Two ways of telling someone to repeat are beabam weye, say again, and weye away, say it back. Repeat, beabam weye. Repeat, weye away. The first basic word is batas chono, meaning to the limit. Add lut and it becomes batas chono lut, to the furthest extent. Weye away, batas chono lut. The second one down is esto, be in the middle. Add lut and it is estoluti, right in the middle. Weye away, estoluti. Skip down a few to neno, meaning be old. Add lut and it becomes nenolut, be the oldest. Beabam weye, nenolut. Look over all these words which are already in the regular dictionary. Let's invent a couple of words using the lut infix. Looking at the table in the middle of the page, we see the first one is done for us. Be cruel, sadistic, or brutal. We don't have this word in Maidu, or most likely it was lost. We do have the word make it bad for somebody. Weye away, wasayati. If you add lut, it means make it really bad for somebody, or be cruel, be brutal. Beabam weye, wasayati lut. Let's try the third one down. What if we want to say someone is sensitive or emotional? We don't have that word, but we can reconstruct it from a word we do have. Hubuk, have emotions or feelings. Weye away, hubuk. How would you say be emotional or have strong feelings? Hubuk lut. What if you wanted to say worship or idolize? We don't have that word. We do have the word oiupai, love. Weye away, oiupai. How would you make up the word worship or idolize? Oiupailut. Beabam weye, oiupailut. What if you wanted a word for concentrate or focus on something? We have a word, huheye, think about. How would you say think about to the max or focus on? Huheye lut. Focus on. He-eh. We have a word, ape, meaning ask for. How would you say insist or demand? Apelut. Weye away, apelut. Do the last 4 on the list yourselves, but I want to make sure you know how to read and sound out words using the fish head writing system. We learned this in lesson 1, but let's just review. If you want to make up a word for elaborate or go into detail, you might start with this word we have for explain. Whether or not you know this word, read it out loud now from the screen and see if you're pronouncing it right. I hope you said makpapaiti. You know you have to say the first part louder because of the accent mark over the first A. Makpapaiti. The next one is a word we have meaning use. How do you pronounce it? Ha. Ha. I hope you pronounce that last A louder than the rest of the word. And I hope you pronounced a good fish head ha. What about the next word, charge money? Let's hear you pronounce that. Humusmai. I hope you pronounce that second fish head louder than the rest of the word. The A and I at the end is always pronounced I. Humusmai. The last word in the list, meaning do or accomplish, how do you pronounce it? Ma'a. Remember that the apostrophe means a brief moment of silence. Ma'a. Now let's move on to the next infix, doi. We won't spend too much time on doi because you have already run across this so many times. Remember, it can have 2 different meanings, either start to do or do upwards. On page 40 in the Modern Maidu workbook, as usual, there's a list of words we already have from native speakers that have this infix. Look at these words and try to memorize them. Now, let's invent some words we don't have in the regular dictionary. What if you wanted to say disintegrate or fall apart in Maidu? First, you find a word we already have in the dictionary, like holoko, meaning be rotten. Now, if you add doi, you get holokodoi, start to be rotten. You might think of a better one than this, but this is just an idea for fall apart. What if you wanted to say gain weight in Maidu? The word for be heavy is wihul. Wihul doi, start to be heavy. Weigh, wihul doi. What if you wanted to say get to know something? That's like starting to know. Makit doi. Weigh, makit doi. I don't think you'll have trouble with doi. You can add this infix to almost anything. Let's take a moment to try out the dialogue at the bottom of page 40. Again, I want to make sure you're sounding things out okay. You need to know how to transform that written word into the spoken word. I'm going to have you say the line first, then I'll say it and you can check what you said. It might be a good idea to record yourself and play it back to see if it sounds like the way I'm saying it. First line. Niki pai tolom tibi doi kan aikate. Second line. Isa oi. We huldoi ankano. Third line. Ho koti sa, kai pe pemenkas maat mukaludi. Now let's move on to the infixes to and toto. The infix to is easy to remember because it can mean to, like in English. It means the action involves someone or something else. It's a one-way interaction. To understand what I mean, look at the list of words at the top of page 41 in the Modern Maidu workbook. When you go through the list, you'll see that the English translation isn't always to, but that the action is towards or involves someone else. For example, the third one down, hubuk, have feelings, and hubukto means have feelings towards or for someone, which usually means loving feelings, hubukto. In the middle of the page, we have our typical word inventing exercise. Let's do the first one. Yahati means do good or cause good, but yahati to means do good to or for someone else. It could mean do somebody a favor. At the bottom of the page, we have another list of words for the infix toto. Toto means do to each other. The action is back and forth, not just one way like to. A means say. A toto means say to each other. Bis means stay. Bis toto means stay with each other. Notice we can translate it with, not just to. Skipping down to the bottom, oda means encounter. Odato means meet someone. Odatoto means meet each other. Makeka. On the top of page 42, we have our usual exercise to make up new words. I hope you will fill all these in, even though we only do a few of them in these classes. For the first one, suppose you wanted to say, be next to each other. We have a word, be next to, inkiki. Way away, inkiki. How would you say, be next to each other? Inkiki toto. If the word tikche means believe or trust, how would you say trust each other? Tikche toto. Beba moya tikche toto. How would you say speak to each other? Wea toto. Okay, now we have another short dialogue on this page. I'm going to show you each line on the screen and I want you to sound it out. Then listen to how I say it. Nik yahati to benee, nik me totodom, beduktapo. Do me a favor and pick up the tab this time, or buy it for me this time. The benee ending is like saying please. Benee means help, so it's like saying help me out by doing. Nik yahati to benee. Please do me a favor, or help me out by doing me a favor. Nik me totodom, buying for me. Me to already has a to in it. That's why it's toto. Nik me totodom, buying for me. Beduktapo, now. Now you read it. Hesara maka beduktapo, a pekadomas min metododom kakas. What do you mean this time? It's always a pekadom as. That as emphasizes. Always. Min me totodon kukasi. I am buying for you. Now read this line. Wia kudawe totodon ka ankas. Hoyemen ni as min metodo kumas. Taking turns with each other. Kudawe toto. Hoyemen, last time. Ni as min metodo kumas. I paid for you. Now read the last line. Hell, kuidak toto asmani pakal makas. Kuidak. Like kuidak toto. What does that mean? Like each other. Kuidak toto asmani. What does that mean? Since we too like each other. The as in front of mani means we too as the subject. Remember? Kuidak toto asmani. Since we too like each other. I will pay. Please work through these word inventing exercises and if possible, memorize the dialogues. Now we're going to switch gears and listen to a recording. This time it's Maym Gallagher talking about her uncle. See if you can understand it.
Nik bononom kausan itusapem maide. Adom woleke yimi mat maki dayu tikem wolem misiniakan. Adom miskadom miskadom maisem am soltim apem yimi dimat yimdi dolmittum yimdi dolpaidum adom kanum muim volaki misinim soloidum be muim dikbuno taki yimim dayu doitimapem simbe tevet itu dom mamman. Mam lewa minha nam yaikimma. Unim maidum kikan mam shine nam shine extraordinary ik oimapem shine ki metukum hubona mam humbot mini mam shine mo sasak selpedi. Lewam nik benono macam pene ini nimat skam sign opinia kan. Ram kam sign mi yokos kini roma fi pan pima amabe mi nik benono ma kitche dom makuno ya hado ma kitche makuno no. Amanan macam be unim niki inyanam benonom mum itu doidum amawoina awes kasmu titet pikno hat makit men pem pemat mayaman maisha wanke musan kursus pem maidum adom puyana chuchuko mapem adom tem unoy usas mum solpe mum pinke yahadom pinkenu yahadom adom nik chana chekono pim paitulos hakumam ausan amani chana chekono dom amankan mum chibos dom ve heu chehe dom nik madon dom nik widok hak oi Hobom kiu na. Adom marik cheben ma pedi nik tusdik no tima ankano. Awetin kankano China chikono dom maide pikno cheheye ma pem. Chebu nik mai se dom kikas mai se nik chebu was dom. Adom be chichubos witen be nik yomo ma pem. Su nik itu kena nik hoi hagoi adom klok nom inam klok nom nina chehe adom skachet nikan kena weye ma pemadom ya adom min ki widuk pe nik chewaskas Jetka kummasti bim tem saapum jokmenim saapum jokmenim kippe tem di vinkulen pubem awetka kummasi hatta inyana weyepem te tedje hat pindom amang kan be karam itu yasat itu yasadom itu yasadom be wono be niki benono ki yam kakuman Arthur Thomas wolen ki yakupem makinya nam kakum chobam simtono.
Well, did you understand most of that? I don't expect you to understand every word. I sure don't. Let's go over it line by line.
Hoyam nikmononam kausan itu sapem maidem.
Itu, be sick or in pain. And if you add sa, an infix meaning always, itu sapem, sickly. Remember that kausan means used to be. In English, we would just say was. He was sickly. But in Maidu, you say used to be for someone who has passed away. Kausan gives us two pieces of information that we don't get from the English was. He is no longer a sickly man because he's passed away, and the speaker, Maym Gallagher, knows this information firsthand. If she didn't, what would she use instead of kausan? Machoyam. But she uses kausan, showing she knows this firsthand, that he was a sickly man. Long ago, my uncle used to be a sickly man, or a man who was always in pain.
De walaki yimimat maki dayutikum walem misiniakan.
We have a new word, do you vibrate or massage. Do you cause to vibrate. The kum ending means the thing that always does, so it's a massager. The white man's, for example, his arm, massager. Doesn't sound quite right in English. Yemi maki, his arm. Remember that maki can come after the noun or before. Yemi maki is the object of massage. The machine vibrates his arm. And it was invented by the white man, so it is wolaki yemi maki duyutikum. Now, it could be used to massage some other part, so she adds ma'at after yemi to mean for example. You already know that ma'at can mean maybe. A lot of information is packed into that sentence. Let's repeat that white man's massager for his arm, for example. Wolaki yemi ma'at maki duyutikum. Wola Messiniacon means whites call it a machine. Maym Gallagher often puts this into her stories to say what the word is in English. She puts a Maidu twist on the word machine, Messini. Bebamoya Wola Messiniacon.
Adom miskadom iskadom maisim mam soltimapim yimidimat yimdi dolmitum yimdi dolpaidum.
Remember what iska means? It's almost like saying or thingamajig, but it can be used with all different endings to show that you can't think of that word right now. Iskadom means the word you're trying to think of ends in dome. How can you translate that into English? You could say doing, you know the word sol, sing, And I think you know it can also mean the hum of a machine. That's what she's talking about in this story. Solti means make it sing or make it hum. And it can also mean run a machine. She says yimidi on the arm. Then she corrects herself to say yimdi, which is the usual way to say on the arm. Yimdi dolmit dom. The root dol means tie, like you're tying something. What do you think dolmit dom means? Tie down. What do you think dolpaidom means? Tie onto, tie against. See why you want to know your infixes so you can figure out what words mean? And doing, those who would run it, for example, on the arm, tying it down onto the arm, tying it against the arm.
Adon kanum muim wolaki misinim solo dom muim nikbuno taki himim deyu do timapem. Simbetevet itu dom mamman.
This is a hard sentence to hear and translate. Hesimbetewet means no matter what or whatever. Bebamoya hesimbetewet. The word takia is not in any of our sources for the dictionary. Even Shipley left it out when he wrote this sentence down. So I looked to see if Konkow had a similar word. Konkow has the word yotaki, press down, and also the word witaki, tie or pull down with the hands. So taki could mean tie down or press down. Takia could then be translated as where it was attached or tied down. See, so sometimes we use Konkow or Nisanan to help us with a word we don't know. My translation is, while doing that, when that white man's machine was starting to hum, it could start to massage that uncle of mine a little where it was attached, no matter what was hurting.
Mam lewa minyanam yaikum. Unim maidum kikanum shining shine extraordinary oimapim shine ki metukum hubonam humbot minimum shine musasak selpedi.
Ayai means say something like. Remember that in Maidu, you have to let your listeners know exactly how sure you are about something, whether you actually heard or saw it yourself, or, as in this case, whether you remember the exact words. If you're not sure what the exact words were, you might say aya or ayai. They said something like. So what does this mean? Amam lewom inyanam ayaikumam. So some of the Indians said something like, and then here's what they said about her uncle. Unim maidan kakan mum sainanan, sainextor koimapim, sainaki metakum habonan humbotmani mum sainam wasasa selpadi. You may remember that Sine means a Chinese person. She's so used to speaking English, first she says Sinex store, then corrects herself to say it in Maidu, Sineki metakum habo, Chinese store. So some of the Indians said something like, this man is somebody who, from the Chinese, would go off to that Chinese store, and from the Chinese store something, or that evil-doing Chinese stuff is sold. Notice she ends up using the word sell from English, selpidi, in the place where they sell.
Lewam nikbunono macham pene ni nimat skam signem opiniagan.
You probably know all these words except for opini, opium. And that uncle of mine apparently did some, a couple of times maybe, The Chinese call it opium. This sentence goes with the previous sentence where some of the Indians said that her uncle would get something from the Chinese store. Now she tells us that it was opium. Yokos means lie down. Way away, yokos. Yokos kinu. The kinu means doing it for a longer time, means be lying down or reclining. Way away, yokos kinu. Aite means perhaps or maybe. You're not sure. Bebamoyap aite. Remember in Maidu, if you weren't there, you have to make that clear. This is secondhand information. Aite. She uses it with a dome verb, yokos kinuron. Maybe lying down. And those Chinese were lying down, I guess, in order to smoke. Panpe means smoke tobacco. It's like eat tobacco. Pani pe. Listen again and repeat. Do you remember what makwono means? Try. What do you think makwono yaharo means? Wanting to try. Bebamoyap makwono yaharon. Makwono yahaka? Do you want to try? He-eh. My uncle, seeing that, since he wanted to try it, I think, ended up trying it. Remember, we learned, if you want to try, go ahead and try. This is the same type of sentence. There's that wono ending again. He ended up trying it. Makwono wono. Of course, makwono already has one wono, but then you have to add another one to mean he ended up trying it. What do you think amanan means? Ama means that, what we just talked about. The non-ending means from doing that. Bebamoya amanan. This Indian uncle of mine, he was apparently starting to get sick from doing that. Machoyambe unum niki inyanan bononom mum e tudoidom. Does Maym Gallagher know about this firsthand? No. How do we know? She uses machoyam e tudoidom. Apparently was starting to get sick. She doesn't state it as a fact. It's hearsay. Amawoina means from then on, or since then. Way away, amawoina. From doing that, now this Indian uncle of mine, he was apparently starting to get sick since then. Awet means although. Awet. Kakas makitmenpem means I don't know about it. Makitmen means not know. Bebamoya kakas makitmenpem. Upema means just or nothing but. Bebamoya upemat. Mai means express or imply or mean something. My memaisam. They implied it. Bebamoya, they just implied it. Upemat mayam memaisam. Kusu means be blind. Weyewep kusu. You may also remember that sapem means one who is always. Remember itu sapem, one who's always sick. So what do you think kusu sapem means? A blind person, always blind. That one just mentioned used to be a blind man. Weyewep among kausan kusu sapem madam. Here we can tell that Shipley cut something out of the recording. How do we know? Because the sentence starts with a mom, that one just mentioned, referring to her uncle, and she did not just mention her uncle. It's likely that Shipley never realized the difference between mum, a mom, and muyim. I never would have been able to figure this out either based on his recordings, because apparently he moved sentences around and cut things out. Luckily, we have the Tom Young stories that Rowan Dixon carefully wrote down about 120 years ago. Since Dixon did not cut sentences out or move them around like Shipley did, we're able to see the differences between these words. Amam refers to the one just mentioned. Muyim refers to the one before that. Otherwise, we can use mum or other words for this and that, like unim and anim.
Adom puyana chuchukoy mapim. Adom tem unoy usas solpim pinka yahadom. Pinkenu yahadom.
Chuchukoi means go off to pee. Bebamwe. Chuchukoi. How do you think you would just say pee? Chuchu. Adomum puyana. Chuchukoi mapem. So when he was about to go outside and pee, she starts off talking about what her uncle did if he had to go outside and pee. But then she backs up to tell us that as the child in the story, she used to be around because she liked to listen to the machine that hummed. Listen and repeat the sentence. As the child, I used to go around because I wanted to listen to that thing that hummed. She's talking about the machine.
Adom tem unoy usas solpim pinkenu yahadom. Adom nik China chikono pim paitulos akumam ausa.
You remember the word chekono, look towards. China chekono means look the other way, look somewhere else. Bebamwep, China chekono. Adom nik China chekono pem, telling me to look the other way. Adom nik means telling me. Adom nik China chekono pem. You've had the word pants, paitolo, but did you know you could use it as a verb, put on pants? In Maidu, you can add the us infix to mean doing something to yourself. For example, weye us means talk to yourself. Weye us don kakas, I am talking to myself. Weye us don kakas. Now take the noun paitolo, pants. What do you think paitolo us means? Put on one's pants, putting pants on yourself. Paitolo us akum ma'am. He put on his pants. Happened in the past. Then she says, ausa. He used to say or do it. That is, telling her to look the other way, not just one time. Ausa. He used to say it. Listen again to her say, telling me to look the other way, he put on his pants. He used to say it.
Adom nik China chikono pim paitulos akumam ausa. Amani China, Chicono dom, Amanka Mam Chibos dom way, Hell, Che, Dominic Madon, Dominic, Widok Hak Oi, Hobom Q now.
Now, how can you tell who's doing the action? China, Chiconodon, looking the other way. Well, the previous sentence, her uncle was telling her to look the other way and putting on his pants. Now, because of the amuni, we have a different subject. So the action's being done by Maym Gallagher. Then, while I was looking or turning the other way, Amam kam mum chibos dombe, she says, Amam, the one just talked about, that is her uncle, that one just mentioned, as soon as he finally finished getting dressed, now the uncle's going to talk for a while. Hell, chaheyep. You can see the verb che, see, in this word. Chaheyep means look around. Bebamweyep, chaheyep. Adom nik ma dondom. What does this mean? While doing that, looking around, taking me by the hand, nik ma dondom. Bebamweye, nik ma dondom. Do you remember widok hakoi from another lesson? Lead by the hand. Nik widok hakoi habong kuna. What does that mean? Lead me by the hand towards the back of the house. Habong kuna, towards the back of the house. Repeat what the uncle said. Hel chaheyep adon nik ma dondom nik widok hakoi habong kuna.
I don't mean Marik Chiben Mapadinik, Tusdik no Tima Ankano.
This is a beautiful, intricate sentence that I think you can figure out. Mudi means there in that place. Mudi. Maidik chemen mapidi. What does chemen mean? Not see. Since it ends in pedi, we can figure out it's a place. Chemen ma pedi, in a place where someone will not see. Maidik chemen ma pedi. This is how you say where people will not see. Bebamweye, where people will not see. Maidik chemen ma pedi. How would you say where snakes won't bite? Huskuk domen ma pedi. Weyewe huskuk domen ma pedi. What would it mean if I said minki chemen ma pedi? Where you won't see. What if I said maide chemen ma pedi? Where someone won't see people. See what happens when you take that K off the maide? Then it's the object. It's not maidek, it's maide, the object. Maide chemen mapedi, where someone won't see people. Now, what does her uncle tell her to do? Nik tustikno ti maankano. You can figure this out. What does tus mean? Remember tustoi, stand up. Instead of the doi infix, we have dikno, which means get to or reach or arrive. Then ti, make or let somebody do it. Let me stand or position me where no one can see. Listen again and repeat.
I don't mean Marik Chiben Mapadinik, Tusdik no Tima Ankano. Tawatin kankono China chikono dom maide pikno cheheye mapem. Chebunik mai sedom kekas mai senik chebu wasdom.
The uncle is still talking to her. Then, while you're looking the other way, you can look around for any people. Notice how this is one of our complex sentences. While you're looking around somewhere else, you can look around ka'ankano chaheye mapem. Chabunik, in case they see me or they might see me. Her uncle is telling her to look all around for any people who might look at him while he's peeing. Chabu is new grammar. The b ending means might. B is covered in Lesson 12 of the Mountain Maidu grammar book. It's used to talk about something that might happen in the future, not something that will happen for sure. This b ending is fun to say. Here's the perfect chance to practice your imploded B plus the fish head. Remember, the B with air coming into your mouth instead of going out. This is especially noticeable when B comes before the fish head. Let's say chebe. Chebe. Say that 20 times. Suck in the air when you say it. Chebe. They might see, or he might see, or she might see. You can look around for any people. Ka'ankano maidu pikno. Chaheye mapem. Chabunik. They might see me, or in case they might see me. Then the uncle goes on to say, Maise adonkakas, maise unik, chabu wasdom. Telling them, maise adom, wasdom or wasodom can mean being mad or getting mad. Kakas maise wasdom. I'm getting mad at them in case they see me. Speaking of the b ending, that's the ending for he, she, it, or they might. But what if you wanted to say, I might see you? Min chabus. You put an S or S-I-C after b to say, I might. Min chabusi. I might see you. Listen to Herbie Young say, I might get good at the language of that place if I speak it long enough. He's talking about English. I might get good at this language. Mueye mankano. Une mueye yahati mabus. If you wanted to say, you might see me, it would be Nick chebe ne. You can add ne or ne after b. In one of the old stories, a girl tells her little brother, you might get hurt. Ilakito bene. Ilakito bene. Beba moyep. Ilakito bene. You might get hurt. Go to Lesson 12 of the Mountain Maidu grammar book so you can learn and practice all the endings for b.
Adom be chichubos within be nik yomo mapem. Su nik itu kana nik hoi hagoy.
Here's a new word, yomo. Call somebody to come here. It also means invite. Weyewe, yomo. What do you think this means? Chuchubos wetin be, nik yomo mapem. As soon as he was all done peeing, chuchubos wetin, in order to get me to come, Then he tells her something. What's he telling her? Su niki tuikuna nik hoiwi hakoi. Okay, lead me to my bed. Su means that's enough, but you can translate it whatever seems to fit, like okay. My translation of the whole sentence is saying, as soon as he was done peeing, in order to get me to come, okay, lead me to my bed. Now her uncle continues to talk to her.
De klockan om, innan klockan om nina he de ska ni kanken away map med då. Ja, de minki widukpenit yo chewaskas.
This sentence is a little hard to figure out, and I'm not sure about one of the words. The uncle starts out saying, and if women, Indian women, are looking around this way, notice how she uses iska with a chat ending. So the subject's going to change now from the women. Nik ka'ankano weamapim adom. You can speak about me, he said. Who is the subject now? You ka'ankano, which is Maym Gallagher, because he's talking to her. Nik ka'ankano weamapim can also mean you can speak to me, but I decided to translate it as about me due to the next part. Eyaro minki widukpe nikcho chawaskas. Chawas, not let somebody see or look at. The was infix can mean forbid or not let somebody do. Saying something like, the one holding your hand, minki widukpe, I don't let them see me, cho. I'm not sure about the cho, but the uncle's name turns out to be Chobam. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Minki Widukpe, Nick, and Cho all refer to the uncle. They're all in object form, so he is telling her to tell the women that she, Maym Gallagher, does not let anyone look at the one holding her hand, her uncle Cho. One confusing thing about this sentence is that you and me seem to be switching in the middle of the sentence, but sometimes when we're talking freely, we do switch things like this. My translation again is, and if women, Indian women, are looking around this way, you can speak about me, he said, saying something like, the one holding your hand, me, Cho, I don't let anyone see.
Jerka kumasti bimtem sharpum yokmenim sharpum yokmenim kippem tem. The inklen pubem.
Yokmani means spring. Bebam weapi. Yokmani. Notice that it has that men infix that means time, not the men that means not. Sapam yokmenim kitpem tem means a 3-year-old child. Way away. Sapam yokmenim kitpem tem. If she was born in a different season, like winter, you might want to say sapam kumenim kitpem tem.
Awet kakuma jihat inyana weyepem te jihat pindom.
However, I was a good Indian speaker, understanding very well. Bebam weyep, awet kakumas yahat inyana weyepem te yahat pindom. Remember that weya, when talking about speaking a language, is one of those verbs ending in pem, weyapem, instead of weyadom. I spoke the Indian language, kakum maas inyana weyapem.
Amang kan be karam itu yasad itu yasadom itu yasadom be wono be.
Now, once again, we can tell Shipley left something out or changed the sentences around. How do we know? This one starts with a mom, which should refer back to the person just mentioned. But in this case, she's talking about her uncle now, not herself. That's how we know that Shipley cut something out of the recording or moved the sentences around. Ka'a means do like that or do that. Repeat, ka'aron. In English, we add the word that, but in Maidu, it's part of the word. Ka'aron, do that. You know that itu means sick, and itusa means always be sick. What do you think ituyesaro means? The ye infix means going towards, and you can picture that his sickness was going towards something, death. In English, we would say he was getting sicker and sicker. Ka'aron ituyesaron, doing like that and getting sicker and sicker. Since these two words both end in dome, we can put and in between when we translate to English. Doing like that and getting sicker and sicker. Using opium. Kakambe wono. Then he ended up dying. Doing like that and getting sicker and sicker, he finally died. Wono.
Niki benono ki yam kakuman Arthur Thomas Wallen ki yakupen.
What do you think this sentence means? That uncle of mine's name was Arthur Thomas, which was his name from English. Woliki Yakupem, having a name from whites or from English.
Mamukinya nam kakum chobam simtono.
What do you think this sentence means? That one just mentioned, his Indian was Chobam Sumtonum. His Indian name, she leaves off name. His Indian name was Chobam Sumtonum. So that's it for today. I know it was a long lesson and a lot to remember. Please go back to the Modern Maidu workbook and practice making up missing words using the infixes lut, doi, to, and toto. Try to memorize the little dialogues and make sure you're reading and pronouncing the Maidu words right. By now, you should be able to sound words out that are written in fishhead. So record yourself saying the sentences and then listen to me or the Maym Gallagher recordings to see how close your pronunciation is. Go to Lesson 12 in the Mountain Maidu grammar book and study the b endings. This ending's not very common, but you will sometimes need to know it and how to translate it if you hear it. Yahat bispada chamakas min.